Oh, it is a good morning, isn't it? As of right now, seems like a great morning to me. And at the same time, I will admit to something here. I will admit to something here. I genuinely think that I highly underestimate. I know we brought up the fact that European markets, if you go look back a few days, we actually were talking about how the fact that these European markets are turning down, and we're actually seeing there could be a repositioning into stocks that are assuming there would be good things for Donald Trump. Now, and that is the scary thing, Robert. That's going to be a scary thing. That's real fishy. But what I want to do just admit here is I highly underestimated the tariff reaction, and we saw overnight, and I posted to Patreon, I saw like I think hundreds of billions of dollars being pumped into the market, being taken out of Europe, being taken out of China, and going into US stocks. Okay, so US stocks. So that's something that I just wanted to put out there. I did not think that big of a reaction would come. I knew the reaction was happening, but it wasn't coming. Now, to say something about volatility real quick, Jackal, and this is something that we need to pay attention to, why I was not in volatility going into the election, right, or going into the election day. And the reason that I wasn't in it is because this is still a 30-minute divergence that can turn up a 2-hour chart. So that was the big hint of why volatility could turn down. We kept talking about volatility turning down. We kept talking about volatility turning down on the 4-hour chart. Maybe there's more of a pullback here. Yeah, it can whip around at any time. And this isn't to talk badly on you or me or anyone out there about their trade. I'm just saying, usually if you are seeing a signal like this one, you want to be very cautious thinking that stocks are going to head lower, right? Volatility is going to increase and you're going to see the SPY drop. That's just what I wanted to point out. That's what I wanted to point out there. So I actually wasn't in volatility. Now I can admit this. Oh, lotto style? I like it. I get you. Well, even that reaction, though, that's kind of crazy. But remember this, guys. We have a huge amount of implied volatility. Yes, volatility has come down dramatically. Yes, we're maybe even going to see daily charts turn up. So we should expect positivity. But let's still be on our toes because those macro signals didn't cross for no reason. And unless we are just going to see something unprecedented, then things can get a little wonky. Sorry, I keep burping. Now, one thing that I will admit to is this one here, TLT. I did not expect this at all, and this is worrying me at the moment, right? This is really worrying me at the moment because those yields are dramatically higher. Ooh, wait a second. Refresh this thing. Give me 2 seconds here. What is going on? Ah, okay. I would be very cautious with these. Might be a fire sale, but at the same time, the reason that this can cause problems, look how high these yields are getting. Look how massive these yields are getting. This can put the banks under a lot of trouble, right? This can put the banks under a lot of pressure. And this is where, when you see a rapid move like that, we're supposed to be heading down. We already know banks are struggling a little bit. And then we say, okay, well, something can break if these yields remain higher. People are not going to rush to go get a house right now with this kind of rate and things like that. So this is something that I don't want to read into too much. I just want to be aware that it's happening. And I really want to see what you guys think about this because I have kind of the same thought as Terry, which is if the yields remain up like this, I don't think these yields can remain higher like this. I don't think they can because what could happen is, and we actually do get news about that tomorrow, right? We get Fed interest rate decision and we get a Fed speech. But something that can happen is banks actually can fail because of these type of things, right? So the fishy thing is the 10-year is screaming higher. IWM is doing the same. Usually when you're going to see a big move from small caps, you're going to see that on lower yields. Okay, you're going to see that on lower yields because these are companies that maybe they want to try to grow, right? They're small companies. They want loans. They want to be able to pay back those loans with a good rate. And this is kind of saying the opposite of that. While IWM actually heads higher, those yields look worse. You know what I'm saying? So something is wrong here. And just remember, even though this first move is up, we can see a downturn. We want to see it in the signals. But just to be aware, we were talking about yesterday, and I don't know what's been going on ever since like the election started yesterday. My computer and my internet's been just shot. It's weird. But we did go up to a weekly expected move. It is Wednesday morning. We are getting a cross up of the 4 hour. So we should assume that this can continue unless that flips today, all right? No. We can get you the Qs. Don't worry about that. We'll get you the Qs, okay, Prabs? Because you're pretty much there. You're pretty much there. You're going up to this point here. The daily expected moves is what you need, right? Daily expected moves here is going to be 503.54 to the upside and 480.88. If you remember in the video last night, I was like, with this big of implied volatility, we are going to gap in some direction. And your signals right now, that 4 hour, right, the 2 hour was able to cross up. We had divergence on the SPY. So there actually was a signal calling this, which is kind of crazy. But the real thing that happened here was people started to see the numbers, people started to see the turnout, and then what happened overseas was they go, oh crap, we got to react to some tariffs. That's what it seems like to me. One thing about volatility, what did we say when we were going to first squeeze? Watch out for a reaction off of the 200. Do you know where we're at right now? The 200. Have we crossed over on the daily? That's going to be a big thing. I want that to load. Crossing over on the daily. So that crossover on the daily does suggest that volatility can subside and go down towards 1212, but we have a full day left in us. We'll see if that remains cross. If it does, it just means I have to be careful with taking volatility the next day. We can maybe see that continue. Maybe we get some structure in here in some way, but we are reacting down to the 200. We are still confirmed above this level. I don't think a lot has changed in my book. I mean, genuinely, and we see the repositioning. Look at Tesla. We see Tesla. Awesome. Let's go check this guy. I bet this guy's up like 50%. Ooh, it was up 50% last night, or 40%, I think. So there is some repositioning taking place, but it's just we're in an environment where you really needed to correct. So that's why we were actually talking about the Qs. If they're able to exceed this high, then I think we do still get that correction, right? We get that correction. But that could be just a drawn out correction down towards, 456 or something like that, right? We could get a drawn out correction down towards our monthly expected move, 10%. So that's if we exceed that high. If we don't, something bad might be happening. This just might be a little bit of a, whoa. What the frick just happened? What the fuck? I'm sorry, but hold on. Why, can I do this? We are seeing massive orders in TLT. Absolutely massive orders in TLT. Yeah, that's a big order. Someone just took out a big order on TLT, but I don't know if that'll hold. I don't think that's legitimate. It doesn't seem legitimate to me. Yeah, it doesn't seem legitimate. So I just thought that was interesting. That was kind of crazy. But there are big orders going into TLT right now, just so you're aware. But does that mean there's a good setup and all that good stuff, guys? Not necessarily. But this could be a snap reaction. That would be insane. These yields are screaming higher. We're actually about to hit our last point. When we talked about yields, when they were really rising and going up and stuff, and then we were staying in this, we were talking about these two levels, and these are very, very key. Actually, 3 levels, right? 406.62, that's where we found support in the past. These levels have been important, so you're almost approaching that 4.495. I'd just be a little bit cautious with this upward move. Something is fishy, and still, actually, a good thing to do this morning might be to look at Oh my God, for some reason I thought my mic was... What's the tea is, we saw a major, if you're part of Patreon, you got a post last night from me. We put it out there at, I mean, I started to look into it, I think around 8:30 my time. So I tried to put it out there as quickly as possible because I just noticed, I was looking at markets during it and I said, oh my gosh, European markets are kind of tanking. Chinese markets are kind of tanking. And we're seeing a huge influx into the stock market, which tells me, when you put all that together, it tells you, okay, someone's big money is betting on Donald Trump to win and putting a lot of money in stocks, taking it out of markets, which is a serious sign that he was going to win. I told my buddy there's high potential for him to win. But at the same time, we noticed that they're reacting to tariffs. That's what it seems like to me. They're reacting to the fact that they might experience some slowing down. Coin very bullish, and it's very bullish right now. We just want to be aware that this can really mess up the banking system with these yields. Did not trade like water. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, Maurice, but I am very glad to see that next part of that sentence, okay? Okay? Life lesson. That's what I want to see. I mean, I understand people go through pain. I mean, my trade's not going well, guys. You guys, this is my trade. Do you think that's going well? That's going really bad too. So don't think you're alone in this, Maurice. My one trade for the week is going bad, right? But what I can notice is something, this was an outlying thing, okay? Yields was something that I think no one could really guess what was gonna happen there. But the signals, you know, and what we did was we followed the signals, and sometimes it just happens. That's how I'm kind of treating it. I even talked to my wife last night and I was like, man, this stuff's going to hurt me in the morning. And she goes, hey, that's part of trading, right? And I go, yeah. She goes, did you manage risk? I go, yeah, I managed it with the position size. And she was like, okay, cool. So even though this looks like a major uproar, I want to keep us aware of where we are at. We are not seeing this exceed levels. We are not seeing the Qs yet. We'll see if it can pass that high right there. We'll see if that can happen. God, I'd really like to get past it a little stronger than that. But I think there is a pathway to 600 here if this can continue. But I think what could be happening is someone might be taken off guard by the Fed tomorrow. And so what I want to pay attention to is if this flips back over. But we're going to take it very slow from here. We're going to take it slow. Really watch the price action throughout the day. I am still seeing, let me just double check on the orders for TLT. We're seeing more orders go into TLT right now. You're seeing more. Oh, she doesn't want to, Georgie. She doesn't want to. I just do it. No, she does. She does at least pay attention to me. And then if I talk about it for more than 7 minutes, she'll get annoyed. Now, how do I stop this fucking stupid spammy BS? I did trim my VIX position, but I didn't follow the indicators for my entry. That's true. And something I'm gonna just, and maybe you do this, Maurice, but something you need to understand is if you see a 30-minute divergence on the SPY, that's when you start to get your red flag going off, right? You get the warning signs. This is a warning. That's a strong move. Okay, so this alone, actually right here alone is enough to manage the trade. I know it looks lackluster, but it's enough to say, hey, this does say there's potential to bounce. That is a very dramatic divergence. That's all I would say. I don't want to, focus on something that's happening to you that's negative, but this is just how you look at it with volatility because I've traded it so much. If I see any 30-minute divergence on the SPY, I'm going to dramatically downsize that position. I'm going to take profit in some way. I'm going to do all those type of things, okay? Just because this is weakness in momentum, the 2 hour's been beat up, and then you notice that 2 hour was able to cross. God damn, I don't know what is happening with this crap, but there you go. So once that happens, you go, okay, there is no reason at this point, right? We're retesting that level we can break out. That's it. That's it. Now, this is a reaction, but all of the problems are still here. You have to be aware that none of the things that Trump wants to implement are in there yet. And all of the problems that we currently have are still there. Like, one thing that I thought last night before I went and looked at the euro market and I looked at the dollar gaining strength, because people are going into the dollar, right? People are shifting into the dollar. They're going into cash. That's kind of crazy. And the SPY is going up at the same time. That's kind of crazy too. But people are trying to short this right now, which means we can squeeze a little bit. Yeah, Maurice. And that's just to help you out with it, because volatility can be volatile. Okay, so I really want to help you with that. It's one of my favorite things to trade. I did not take a trade because there was a 30-minute divergence. Crypto was simple. Crypto gave us a big hint. Crypto gave us a hint before anything else. Do you guys remember when we pulled up crypto and we just said this? Now, this wasn't the best hint in the world, but it is a hint for some positivity that can come. It had triple divergence on the 2-hour. Okay, triple divergence on the 2-hour likes to turn up what? 4-hour charts. But this little blip here made us say, okay, we just have to be aware, because that could be some kind of bounce that turns down, right? And did this turn up the 4-hour chart, 4-hour swing trade? Should be right here. Right here, the 4-hour swing trade said, I'm a go. But what are we noticing now? We're making divergences, okay? Bitcoin did not have a divergence, and that is something that we were mentioning, was the fact that it didn't have a divergence. So if this pulls down and pulls up, you can see one more trap. Now, one thing I want to be aware of, if you watched last night's video, was Tesla. Tesla was one we wanted to be very aware of. Why? We wanted to be aware of this because it can make the 2-hour divergence, okay? This could be very, very tight. This is something crazy. It can continue. But we have to be aware if that rotates down in dramatic fashion, because you were outside of a weekly expected move. You have divergence now on the 2-hour scale. I mean, the cash rotating into crypto. Well, you're seeing 75K for the first time, which is fantastic for Bitcoin. And people really believe in that. But there are a few things out there that can still cause some serious pain for the market because of this, and it's mainly because these yields are heading dramatically higher. It's so crazy to me, this freaking... Yo, I have to go look at some... I have to go look at this. VIX is going back up. There's the test of the 200. You're not out of the weeds. You're not. This is a great move, but people will take profit. And that could be profit taking as well, just by the way. But volatility is bouncing off of the 200. You are still above that 200. You still have all the same problems as yesterday. You have all the same problems as yesterday. And what do we say? Well, if this crosses over, you're going to test the 200. It just happened in one day, unfortunately, so you didn't really get the best hint. I really wanted that to happen. This was the scenario, I think, if maybe Kamala won. But that is just crazy. You have the 10-year, you have the dollar, and that could be people rotating, more countries rotating into cash. They see, and this is the good part. If you thought Trump was bad, then why are these countries rotating into USD? This is strengthening the dollar. Notice that the dollar was overall considered getting weaker and weaker under Kamala. It's getting stronger under Trump, which is a good thing for your pockets. It really is. A strong dollar is a good thing for your pockets. But because of this environment, I really think this 10-year can cause a ton of problems for us. This can cause a ton of problems. I think that's why I am seeing, even though obviously I told you guys with TLT, I have the investment, but I took an option play here as well, just a smaller option play, because I thought this would be a rip and I thought I could make plenty of money. So I took a first scale-in position in case this would rotate back down, right? In case this 30-minute rotated back down, we just held on to a first position. I can tell you right now, that position is garbage right now. That position is garbage right now. But the ask on that option that I do have is $1. So someone out there is buying this thing, is buying some extreme options for TLT, and I want to go check on it. I want to go check on it, guys. So give me just a moment. I know I'm going to ignore chat for a second. I just want to see if this is real or if this is just one guy buying this. Oh, in the SPY, actually. We'll look at those options, at that option data a little bit later. Maybe I'll look at it in tonight's video for TLT, but we are seeing a pretty big influx, people betting a lot of money into TLT. Now that could be a blip, it could just be one guy buying a bunch of options. It could be, you know, I want to see how much money's behind it. But I think it's important we look at the SPY. One thing is the weekly. You notice the weekly was able to turn up. Remember, if that turns back down by the end of the day, that's not going to be a good sign. Qs, let's see if that turned back up. So if these weeklies hold up, then we would say, ooh, now we're getting rid of those signals, and the Qs do have room to run here. Okay, the Qs would have room. The SPY is saying I'm pretty freaking tapped out. I wish this stuff would load faster, and I'm sorry, guys. It's making another point of divergence on the weekly scale, actually. If you really look at the RSI, if this would turn down still from here, I know that that's forming right now, and like this most likely will update if this turns down. This could be profit taking. If the Qs cross up on the weekly scale, we can see positivity. All right, we continue to see positivity. But volatility is overall bouncing off of the 200. So I'd be very cautious for a snapback move. We still have all the problems of yesterday. We still have the fact that I do believe that Trump will put us into some kind of deflationary event. And I think this is big too. All the celebrities coming out and going for Kamala. Weirdly enough, I think, and this is just a thought, but I actually think that most of his policies would be bad for people who make more money. I actually think his policies might be bad for people who are rich, in my opinion. Now, that is my opinion, and I have to look into it further. But I think it would be, because if you're not going to allow slave labor, that's going to cut down on margin, so the rich people won't be able to make as big a margin. They're going to have to actually pay real wages. So if you're doing tariffs, I think that could happen. We could see margins really decrease and actually see less from earnings from these companies because of these, but better things in the average American's pocket. As long as we can hold jobs, as long as the banking system does not totally collapse because of this. All right, now I'm not going to read into it any more than this, okay? We're going to just see what happens. We're going to pay attention to the signals. All right, IWM making a crazy move. Making a crazy move, almost hitting my my ultimate high for IWM was going to retest 242.97. That was what I really thought. Now, one thing I think we should check in on is AMC. AMC does have earnings after hours today. Just be aware if this daily does cross down. Do not think that because DJT is in office or is being elected president that this can't turn down. Okay, I think it's a good sign. I kind of butchered going through the emojis, but the emojis here, which is fun to talk about, so that's why I'm going to talk about it. AMC would actually set up a great trade if we're going to go with the emojis from Roaring Kitty. And I know this is speculation. I know you guys are paying attention. You guys are smarter than to like really pay attention to emojis for trades, right? But we can look for a good setup. What would be a good setup here? What would be a good setup here? A divergence forming would be fantastic. Earnings, they're prepared for it. They fight the stock. Everyone thinks it's dead. And then that thing whips back around. This would add up to American flag, announcement, fire, explosion, cheers. Tell me if you're thinking the same. And I know it's silly to talk about emojis. I know it is. It's just I'm having fun today, okay? I'm going to try to have fun. I had about I only had like a, oh, what was it? Yeah, I'm down. I had $1,000 behind TLT, and that's pretty much gone, guys. So I'm going to make today positive in some way. I'm not going to get negative about it. Everyone experiences losses, but I just wanted to let you know that I'm experiencing a loss. And the signals looked fantastic. One weird thing that I'm noticing, if we did turn around from here, by the way, with TLT, I know this is crazy. If we did turn around after today, going into like tomorrow, we really see a turnaround here, and it's at a cheaper price, so people put big money into it. You have a divergence here on the MACD and on the RSI. But yeah, I'm just gonna hold on to that bad boy. I don't even think anyone would buy it, so it's unfortunate. Happens. I want to know what you guys think though about those emojis. Am I reading into it too far? Am I reading into it too far? 2 hour is crossed up, so 2 hours is going to be a big signal if that can cross down. I want you to notice that we have not bought ourselves into positive territory just yet. This is very positive stuff. If we can curl up the weekly, I think for the Qs, then we could see an extension of this move. I don't know what trade to buy. If you don't know what trade to buy, one thing to do is maybe sit, right? Wait for a good setup. Eventually, TLT will go back up. Rates this high will force us into recession. That's kind of what I'm thinking. And I'm glad to see. This is why I'm glad to have a community, because I get to bounce my thoughts off of you guys, and you guys let me know if I'm crazy. If AMC goes to those prices, I will re-add. I think $4. I think we have the. I think we have the opportunity this week to go below $4. I get all my financial advice from emojis. Just look long. Yeah, I haven't sold my investment either. Something about this is still fishy. And if you notice, even on the 2 hour right now, what are we doing? Let's blow this up. If we turn around from right here, I know that we can still head lower, guys. This is just crossed over. We can head lower. But if we hold from right here, you just made another point of divergence. Let's see if that's holding on the RSI. It kind of is. And if you look here, that's above that point. So we'd have to turn around from here to really say that divergence is trying to confirm. Oh, Sid, thank you. Let me read into this. Okay. Okay, fish. So obviously the stock is fish. Dang it. There's nothing for me there. Shoot. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And we are going to be adding soon. My wife's still working on it. She's making our own emojis. What emojis would you guys like to say? If we get emotes for people who are supporters of the channel, what kind of emotes do you guys want to see? My thing was I was going to make like a good-looking bull, a bad-looking bull, a good-looking bear, a bad-looking bear, meaning like bears are suffering, bulls are suffering. This is bullish, this is bearish, but I want to see what you guys think. Have you seen the eggplant emoji? Yeah, every morning when I use the bathroom. Kapoosh. Just kidding. Just kidding. Very, very small. Google. Yeah, let's go look at Google. Okay. Thanks for keeping us on our head there. Keeping us on our head. That's not keeping us on our toes. My goodness. 2 hour turns up here. Positivity can happen. All right. We've seen a great breakout. Remember, Google was one that had some structure that actually looked pretty decent. Looked pretty decent. You even got a retest of that breakout area. Now you're heading to the upside. So weekly expected move can come into play. If this 2 hour turns up, it's suggesting that can happen. I would be very cautious going into tomorrow with how these yields are. Not only small but thin. It's like a pencil. It's like a pencil. Has been selling out of the market for weeks. Exactly. Nothing has changed from yesterday. Some of the signals might suggest that we're buying more time. We still have a major event going on tomorrow with the Fed interest rate, and that just became even more major, by the way. Right? Well, how the Fed responds to this is going to be huge, because I think they see that Trump wants to put us into a deflationary event, and they might react. But for Google, guys, the 2 hour turns up into positive territory. You can see positivity. Just be careful. Very tight. About to go into overbought territory for the RSI, and this thing hasn't even crossed yet, so this move might be too big, right? Actually, yeah, let's go look at carry. That is a good point. See, this is why I like you guys. This is why I like you guys. Look at banks really reacting to the upside here. That is kind of crazy that they are reacting to the upside here, in my opinion. Okay, what caused this big drop back in February 8th, 2023. Let's see what yields we're doing February 8th of 2023. On February, okay, on February 8th, 2023, you're getting a difference here between a low, right? Where was February again? God dang it. There it is. Okay, so in here, you saw this rapid move from the 10-year. Here, you're seeing a rapid move from the 10-year. And then let's go back over to KRE. So we know that rapid move did cause a sell-off last time, right? Now, we're not reading into it too much. We're just trying to see. Notice that banks have gone higher with that. Regional banks have gone higher with that. It's a logical move. Georgie, please explain it to me just a little bit, because I'm having a hard time wrapping my brain around it for a second here. Georgie, just give me a brief explanation like I'm a kindergartner right now, because I'm having a slight hard time thinking about this clearly, and I think there's just too much going on for me to really go at. And everyone's calling me in the morning. Everyone's, calling me saying, wow, I can't believe you called it at, 8 o'clock when I was seeing the stock moves and things like that. But I was just like, dude, I mean, that's, at the end of the day, that's luck. We could have seen some fishiness overnight. May not be a bad play. Well, volatility should be relatively cheap. So something I would check on right now is I'm going to go check how cheap you can buy these options, because this would be the time where everyone's taken off guard. Yeah, so I would say that, oh, it's actually scaled up. A lot of positions have actually scaled up, so people are still positioning into volatility. Interesting. Trump tariffs are inflationary, yes. Okay, so that initial reaction does make sense if you take that into consideration. Yeah, very simple. I like it, Georgie. I am very interested to see what volatility does here. Oh god, I want to take a YOLO play so bad. Oh, if we fail the cross up, that's not going to be good. I think I'd more look at it from Georgie's perspective. Just think of it very simply. The tariffs would be inflationary initially. So be surgical. I'm not gonna go YOLO some big amount of money. When I say YOLO, I mean fun account. You know what I mean? Let me look at this. There was one position I liked. One. Where is it? This one. Oh, god dang it. I already messed this up. Ugh. Being silly again. Two seconds, Turkish. Oh, why have I not plugged my... I have two mice for... What did UVXY do, by the way? Whoa! It's a big move down, isn't it? All right. Did I do it too fast? Oh. All right, there we go. Trump had tariffs first term, inflation was low because oil was low. Your ADHD is kicking in. I gotta calm down. I drank too much coffee because I was up a little bit late. Short Meta. Let's go look at Meta real quick. Oof, Meta not liking things. Thank God my YM short didn't get triggered. Yeah, the future's there for it. HES just broke below yesterday's candle. Uh-oh. Oh, no. Well, those yields, who the hell's going to buy a house with those yields now? They're still at elevated prices. Gold. Gold, if you remember gold actually giving some solid little divergences up here. Solid divergences, even on the daily scale, I believe. There you go. Gold actually reacting down. Hey, that's facts. AMC, I think we do have time. I think we do have time for this, but just because I think it doesn't mean it can't just pop off with earnings. Anything can happen with earnings, but you're not seeing that buying come in before at all. We'll see if a big move happens. And we're not going to expect anything because the market maker expects numbers today, right? And the last thing I wanted to do is this. This. All right, that was the last one. That was the last one. All right, now we're sitting pretty. We're sitting pretty. God, I wish I could scale back into another position maybe for TLT actually. But it's like the buy, the ask on it is like $100. Well, $1 per contract, maybe more. Oxy is playing out. Oxy was the golden setup. If you really want to learn how to trade these, this is the golden setup, and it's playing out. Oh, and that's crossing. So the golden setup is confirming as of now. You still have earnings. You got to be cautious, but this is a golden setup, right? This is telling you, hey, you have all the signals down here that say this is a base if this can cross up on that MACD by the end of the day. If you want to learn the golden setup, guys, it is the best setup you're going to see as far as divergences and all that stuff goes. It is the best one. The last golden setup that we really showed very well was this one here for Apple. Golden setup, and look how that thing played out. Serious question, looking to scale into GME. Well, the big thing with GME is it's... That's true, Sid. The big thing with GME is just this. You're seeing good signals. The moment can happen at any time. That's why I always say, hey, this is something that's like, hey, maybe I'll hold this with, 2% of my portfolio, my cash on hand or something like that, and then just see if something crazy happens. That's it. Right? Because I don't want to try to time this. It's do they have liquidity? Do they have that? We know the problems there. But yeah. PCC is calling calls right now. 0.774. So yeah, GME, just to really go jackal with it. And thank you so much for the $5. Hopefully that pops up in a second, but get up there. The big thing with GME is just, you don't know the exact timing. I don't know the exact timing. When it happens, I'm sure you'll be like, hell yeah. But for now, you never know when that could happen. So something with GME is playing good signals. And so when I would take, say, my next call option, One, you know, I like to buy it at the beginning of the month, right? That's just my strategy. I just, if it's cheap, I buy a bunch of call options for the end of the month at dramatically out of the money prices, right? But what I need to notice here is, what is a good signal I can look out for if this is going to buy more time, if they're going to fight the stock and they're going to convince people this is not going to pop. They could send it down to $4 and turn this thing back up. This could turn down into negative territory. We could turn down, we could make that divergence. And then that would be, I think, the good trade setup for AMC. And GME, you just want to pay attention to this, because if AMC sets that up and AMC runs, GME is most likely going to follow. If GME runs, AMC is going to follow. So right now you have all the signals that say this is good. That's what I would say for GME. You do. You have daily turned up. You have a 2-hour turned up. Getting a little bit towards the top here, meaning we can make a divergence. What would that do? It might rotate down the daily. The daily chart might rotate down if this confirms back down. But right now it's pointing up and you could break through that crazy level. So it is up to you at the end of the day, but the signals here look good. If the signals change, right? If the signals turn into this, which actually that divergence point would already pretty much be here, by the way. If it does that, that's suggesting weakness. Now that could just rip on Monday, right? That's why you just hold the stock at some time. That's what most people would say. Alrighty. So I know that's not like it's like just GME is just play good signals, and this is a 2-hour crossing up into positive territory. You can see something crazy. If it turns back down, bad things can happen. You know what I'm saying? But GME is doing good stuff. While we're seeing the housing sector really suffer here. While we're seeing volatility, ooh, reacted up to 1683, couldn't break through just yet. We need that 2-hour to turn back up for sure. And really, you need the daily to turn back up to see volatility come in. Just note, the implied volatility this week is the biggest I've seen in a very, very long time, if not ever. So I would not be totally convinced, right? Or this is more how you look at it. And we said this in yesterday's video. These signals look bullish. I said, I'm not going to lie. These signals look very bullish. But we need to watch out for how we can get screwed, right? I think it is a time to be very aware that implied volatility is higher. We still have macro signals that are trying to unconfirm, but we've hit 500 again. We're starting to come down. We're actually hitting the point perfectly where we meet up with these highs. So crazy stuff. Shh, hold on. The girls are back in the old man's park and I got to mute for a second. Hold on one sec. Toby's like a damn warning bell, I tell you. DLT, looking at yields, reacted up. Ooh, didn't fully get there. Looking for, let's go through some 2 hours, see if we get any kind of 2-hour hit here. And I think the one was Tesla, right? Because that is a great move. Oh, here we go. See, this is kind of what I was worried about. Tesla goes up above the weekly expected move, then gives us a very big hint. I mean, I guess technically that would be the bottom of the bar, but still a very bullish move. We can use that topside weekly as support. Let me go look at that on my other charts. And someone looking at silver, someone having a bad trade with silver, that's okay. Yeah, silver here. One thing was the 2-hour did confirm back up. So this is one that I will give it to you. I will give it to you and say this. That was a trick there, a little tricky. That end of the day bar for these stocks can be a little tricky. But that's not the most confident turn up. You're not taking back the 5. You're reacting over to the 5. And then you see daily scale. This is why it's risky to take trades to the upside when you're seeing potential weakness for silver, but you don't necessarily have like the best divergences in the world. We just want to see, hey, was this weekly able to cross over yet? Okay, so silver is saying dramatic weakness can come if this crosses down. Downward, if I spread it out a little bit, you're going to see it. Downward here for the weekly, downward here for the weekly RSI and MACD. Crazy, crazy day. I just want to see if this holds by the end of the week. But yeah, silver giving you weekly divergence there, so be cautious. Macro scale, guys, says we are still tapped out at these levels. I know this is a good reaction. That's fantastic, but thanks for IWM in yesterday's video. Nice, good job. DJT manipulated? I think so. I think this was like a very easy 2-hour move higher that just completely failed. Very easy 2-hour move. It crossed up. 30-minute probably management of the trade here. 30-minute management. You never confirm back up the 30 minutes. So your management of the trade should have told you a little bit here. Now that management of the trade, I totally understand if you didn't, because you are a little bit above that center line. That's okay, Juggernaut. That's okay. What I want to teach you, Juggernaut, is what to pay attention to with a volatility trade. I'm going to teach you as well. We've talked about this a little bit this morning, but DJT, just be aware that that 30-minute is still confirmed down as of right now. Something with the SPY that you need to understand when trading volatility is you have to be watching the SPY if you're trading volatility. You have to be watching the SPY because the SPY gave you a 30-minute divergence here. If you see 30-minute divergence, it means take some off the table, take profit. Okay? Wait, someone asked about one that I want to look at it. Was it Loxley? STLA. Okay, that confused me because it looked like Tesla. I do want to look at a random one. Ooh, I don't like that 30-minute crossover. Ooh, you have 2-hour divergence here as well, confirming right now. So this could all be a daily bounce. That's leading to what? The center line, right? So you had decent divergence here. You're just seeing that kind of lackluster. So if this daily can turn down, we're going to see 2-hour divergence. What do we see? We see 2-hour divergence here. So the daily does have the opportunity to cross down here. You want to go to Mexico. Okay, Loxley, so what you want to do now is, just think about the course a little bit and say, I just need to manage this trade. It does not look bad. You're getting in a tiny bit early. It's confirming now, and you still have 1 hour and 15 minutes left, but that's fine as long as you know how to manage trades. Right? If this 30-minute curls up, wouldn't that be a good thing for the stock and a bad thing for your option or whatever you're trading this as? The fuck was that? So that's what I would be looking at. Just always be thinking, that's what you have to do in this environment right now. Even everyone. If I had SPY calls today, and if we hit this area, I'm not going to sit there and go, oh, this could go higher. No, if I like the money and it's hitting a big target, which it is, this is a major resistance zone in here. When we ever have this little zone in here, or whether it's right here, it's a big resistance. That can at least be profit taking for now, but we have a big event tomorrow. Yeah, Loxley. TLT is getting some volume. The volume's coming back into TLT here. Oh my gosh, does TLT snap? The crazy part is TLT could end the week at like what, $95 or something? And it would make sense. 94? I don't know what that was. Some banging happened upstairs. It's very weird, but I've had to have my gun on me a couple times. I don't know why, but people keep coming up and knocking our door like solicitors. And I'm like, that's not supposed to happen here, but they keep coming up, and it was with the election time, so I'm like, things are already on edge with the election, and I'm like, who's showing up at my door every day? I don't like that, but they were all nice people. They just woke up my daughter from her nap, unfortunately. I got more lecture text. Yeah, imagine my phone. Everyone asks me about stocks. All my buddies, they all text me. They all think that somehow I can read what state they're gonna win because I like psychology, and I'm just like, I don't fucking know. I just know that billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars are being poured into stocks for some reason and taken out of Europe and China. Like, look at this. This is what I looked at last night. BABA with that big dip down. Ooh, now it's wicking back up. And BABA had divergence down here too, which is crazy to me. I believe the daily was able to rotate. Oh, daily hasn't even rotated up. So weirdly enough, BABA could still be a play here. That's crazy. So it went down to 95. Not the biggest drop in the world. Halloween just passed, yeah. Hey Lucas, thanks for the advice yesterday, not too short at closing. I stay out of the crazy times, waiting a better signal downside. Yes, and we just use the SPY, right? When you start to see signals pop up on multiple charts at the same time, you have to be willing to say, hey, this thing can bounce. All right, we saw this. I think it was Microsoft saw this. SPY saw that. Q saw the lower high. We didn't even cross over. We went positive. So all that leads you to believe, man, you know, this has high potential to bounce. That's what it's saying. Chewy, you want to look at Chewy? But Emmanuel, thank you for being here, and thank you for leaving a like on the channel. I really appreciate you being here. Right? I just try to be helpful, and if anyone sees something I'm seeing in a different way, please mention it in the chat. I want to see if there is something I'm not seeing. Right? I was just like, you know, my brain's confused why we're seeing regional banks go up. Someone just simply goes, oh yeah, well, the Trump tariffs. And I go, oh, okay, cool. But that means bad things for the housing sector immediately, right? Housing sector starts to turn down. NVIDIA's rocketing. Let's go look. NVIDIA is seeing a pretty good move here. Sorry, I had to do it. I'm sorry. I had a Japanese mayo sandwich. I had a Japanese egg mayo sandwich. Japanese egg mayo? Japanese mayo egg sandwich. NVIDIA at resistance. One thing about NVIDIA that we have to be aware of is the fact that, hey, can this thing go higher? That's where we pull up our weekly expected moves. If you're a part of Patreon, it will help you out a little bit. Where are we at? We are at resistance. We are at resistance right now. Volatility is still testing the 200. See if that can break below it. Another level I've had on my chart down here for volatility for a long time was 1504. Maybe I should mark that off. Well, you see, we reject right off of 1683. But there is another little line I should really put here for you guys. Just one of my levels I like to watch. Okay, I like that. My goodness gracious, that is insane. What is the DIA doing? Ooh, Dow is coming outside of a weekly expected move now. So you're seeing crazy things, okay? You're seeing crazy things. NVIDIA testing its level. That's going to be unexpected by the market. Dow's testing its levels, getting above expected. Actually gapped above on DIA. Just so you're aware of this gap here. Remember, we give you these ranges for DIA. If you do want them, you just got to ask for them. But look at that. Gap above a weekly expected move, massive. One I was looking at was Netflix. That doesn't look the best. Yo, crazy day. I'm loving it. It's fun. Palantir with that good earnings still seeing upside. Palantir still moving outside of the weekly expected moves here. Palantir was able to curl up on a daily chart yesterday. We're seeing that extend today. Looks a little bit hammerish. Thing is, I can't even look at 30 minutes because we're seeing gap ups everywhere. This is something I want to watch, though, this 4 hour for Bitcoin. What the heck is going to happen here? Home builders really suffering. Damn, crazy day. That's all you can say, really. Actually, no, we won't do that. I wanted to maybe go into shorter time frames. Pretty cool though. We go up towards outside of the daily, we go up towards the weekly, then we come down, we react down, we hold up in the trend here, that rising wedge. Very interesting behavior. Tomorrow's going to be a big day. Let me look at when that data comes out tomorrow. I believe it's in the afternoon. All right, in the morning we do get initial jobless claims. Non-farm productivity, unit labor costs. We get some auctions there, 15-year mortgage rate, 30-year mortgage rate. Then at 2 p.m. my time or an hour before the close, if that helps you out, the Fed interest rate decision, and that is 2 p.m. Central Time for me, just so you are aware. And then after that at 2:30, we will be getting the Fed press conference. NVIDIA 4-hour MACD did cross up. So that does mean, hey, NVIDIA can extend higher, right? If we take out the consideration of weekly expected moves, it can head higher, but it has not crossed up yet. Okay? And the reason I'm saying it hasn't crossed, okay, the way to really phrase it is this has crossed, it has not confirmed. Okay? Look up here. You see this? 3 hours. If this was happening, right, and maybe we dip down a little bit, right, it comes down a little bit, then it goes back up, and then we stop right there, and then that's crossed, then I would say, ooh, we're gonna maybe see something crazy. Palantir just looks like on the daily, don't you see a hammer candle? You can't read into Palantir too much. I don't think there's reversal signals up there because it's too dramatic of a move. Right, I'm guessing that the 2 hour, see how the MACD is way up here now? But I would say a lot of retail likes Palantir. Amazon with a nice breakout out of a potential sell wall at 200. Very good move. Amazon's the one. And we haven't, yeah, we're getting rid of the divergence on the RSI. We'll see how today ends. That is crazy. Look at that thing. Weekly turned up. Positivity's there. Uh-oh. Oh god, I'm literally so scared going into next week. These yields are freaking me out, man. That can cause a lot of problems. Yes, Fox, and then at the same time you have people still questioning why this happened. And I would encourage anyone that wonders why it's happening to look at the other side, right? Look at the other side and see what was actually going on, like what they're actually wanting to do. And overall, how I see it is I think a lot of people just saw too much trying to control people, and I think that's the thing. I don't think people like to be controlled, and I think that's what you're seeing with the election. That's it. But in markets, that's what we're mainly talking about here, right? In markets, we're just seeing a big influx into US stocks from other nations. Big influx into the USD, DXY from other nations, and we're seeing that. But that yield's bad. XLU Utilities about to confirm down again on a 30-minute after reacting to the 5. Look at XLU, really getting those reactions to the 5, dropping, reaction to the 5, dropping, reaction to the 5, dropping. Utilities do not look happy here, even though stocks look a little happy. Or the SPY, Qs. 1609, so we're still holding above that 200 then. AMD, what did you do? See, AMD just, God, this is why when I talk about AMD, I'm just like, this is just gonna be a hard one to trade. All right, I wanna see some predictions out there. We got AMC earnings tomorrow. Come on, give me your prediction, what's gonna happen. I'll give you my prediction after I see some predictions out there. Apple, let's go look at this one because the 30-minute never crossed back down. The 2-hour, you're getting that reaction. Remember, we said maybe a test of 225 comes. The 2-hour has turned up. The likelihood for a lower high is high, and we could react all the way up to 232.91 to see that resistance come in. See that support, the losing it, support. Resistance can come in here. That would be interesting for Apple. AMC will beat expectations by a large margin. AMC earnings today after close November 6th. Yes, they are. They go, I think, straight up to 21,000. It's definitely possible. Definitely possible. But you're going to need a handle here. If you keep going a little bit higher, if you get to 21,000, nah, I don't know about that. We'll have to look. You would have to violate this wedge that you're in right now. Yeah, you'd have to seriously violate that wedge. So the way it happens is the daily turns up, right? We did talk about the fact that the SPX can get to 6,000, that the SPY can get to 600. That is if these dailies cross, that's going to happen. You might blow past it for a minute, and then you want to watch out for divergence. But the US 100 seeing a good day. We'll see if it lasts for the rest of the day going on into tomorrow. Really? AMC? What movies did they produce on Netflix? I'm just curious. No, we'll see the price action tomorrow, Sid. I'm sorry about that. No, AMC has earnings tonight. But we're going to see that price action tomorrow. So we could see some wild stuff in the post-market and the pre-market. My overall sentiment here is I think they're prepared for it, and I'm going to assume that what happens most of the time when AMC gets good news is going to go the wrong way for them. But I think the first move isn't the right one. If it is the right one, I will be very happy. That's all I would say. I mean, that does not look bad. Gap up, holding the gap, holding above the 200. It doesn't look bad. Well, it's just because of this, because we've experienced times, Woodworth, where AMC gets good news, but that news is expected, and even when they get unexpected good news, you only see that go up for a day and then it's fought. So my whole theory is if they are expecting a big move, which we know they are because 521, that would mean one, they probably have liquidity to shoot this down. And two, they're expecting this to be the big moment. They don't want that to happen. So I think they could shoot this down first, but that's just a thought, you know. Everyone else, you know, different opinions, but that's what happened the last time, right? If we look at last earnings, what happened? Bad things. Even though there was great stuff in this, there was good stuff. I know it's red, but there was good stuff in this. Still goes down. This did not justify a 450 stock going down or 480 stock going down with this kind of earnings, in my opinion, and a lot of other people's opinions. It could be, Maurice, but the weekly signals are suggesting you're already at your limit. Ooh, Nick. That would be interesting. That would be interesting. You're making me think about it. Woodworth, I can't look at. Wait, let me just make sure. You guys, what's the stock that people keep spamming in my chat? Let me just make sure it's not that stock. I'm sorry if it is that stock. I can't look at that stock if that's something people are spamming. I do not want to bring that. Okay, it's a different stock. I just looked. It's a different stock. Archer, daily's turned up, but you see this. Doesn't this look like AMC a little bit? And so you see that earnings. You see how if they just cross down this MACD, it would go negative, and then you might make the opportunity. That might be the opportunity. So that's just something I'm paying attention to, right? It doesn't have to play out that way. I'm just going to take good signals. And I'm going to keep my strategy of just like, hey, I'm going to make a trade in the market. That's going to make me money. And then I'm going to utilize that money to go buy an option trade for AMC while also holding the stock and holding GME. That's what I'm going to do. BA, Bank of America, or sorry, Boeing, Bank of America. Jesus, I'm an idiot. Boeing, one thing here is the daily is confirmed down. That is a bad sign. You're heading towards our little, I guess you would say, you know, trend line. But what we would mostly want to see here is this has to go back to positive. If this can go back to positive here, that would be a good sign. I think this was a blip. Then we see a bounce, right? We get that little bounce. We're coming back down. Can this turn back up into positive territory? Do we see 2 hour divergence, right? If we see 2 hour divergence right there, that could be a good sign. Yo, my internet keeps like going in and out, and I am so sorry about that. But you're not really seeing the best divergences here, right? You're just not. You're seeing a 4 hour. The 4 hour turns up, you got a shot, but this thing is beat up for a long time. And the thing with Boeing that you have to understand about Boeing is they need war. Boeing is always going to need war, most likely, to be a very, very good stock. You're 1K in at 325. Solid level, first of all. Just know you could go all the way down to like 380 this week, and that would make sense. By the way, Woodworth. Just so you know. We use the options data to calculate things. That's how we know if we get through 521, you can see something crazy. That's how GME, we got through that level last week. That's why we were like, ooh, we're seeing something crazy. They really have to fight the stock. So, but Boeing needs war. And so when the most peaceful president of all time comes in, it's not a very good thing for Boeing, in my opinion. But at these levels, you do have those daily divergences that if they would go up, they would suggest that Boeing would head in the upward direction, or at least have a good probability of seeing positive momentum on the daily scale. But am I going to do that? Am I going to bet against the most peaceful president? No. And I'm talking peaceful as in wars, guys, okay? Don't come at me. There were no wars then. I guess we were still probably in the Middle East, because we always are. Ugh. Interesting. Average down, thank you. Yeah, and that's just reading into it and being, you know, really taking risk into consideration at all time, Woodworth. That is what you have to do as a trader, even if you're trading something very speculative like AMC. You have to take risk into consideration. You have to. Because this could easily lose. This could easily turn down on a daily and end up going all the way down towards $3 or something like that, right? We could go all the way down towards here. For this week, it would make the most sense to go down towards something like 380. But that's just how you have to look at every trade, is from the perspective of, hey, this can hurt me in some way, and you're hoping that something like TLT, like it happened to me today, doesn't happen to you. You're hoping that something like this doesn't happen to you, where you see a major gap down when you had perfect signals, really. You had amazing signals here. I know it took a lot of time, but these were really suggesting this was going to go nuts to the upside. And you're still seeing us hold that divergence point on both the MACD and RSI. We just have to see if that can turn back to positive. but it never went positive. It never went positive. Look at this. It never went positive. So should I be surprised by anything? Not necessarily. I don't even think we hit a weekly expected move with that. Let me go double check. Yeah, we didn't even head to the weekly expected move. You might end up hitting the upside expected move if tomorrow comes out with some Fed interest rate decision. Let me go check that data again. Let's see. Ooh, someone like bought it. Someone asked for bought a bunch of it and then sold all of it. Sorry guys. My wife just ordered something on Amazon and I'm gonna spy on her. Hold on. Oh, okay. That makes sense. Oh god. Yeah, that's a good thing to buy. That's a good thing to buy. My wife's been good. She almost bought like 10 Christmas mugs yesterday. But she knows how I am. I am not someone that likes to buy stupid stuff all the time. At least with that, I'm just like, it's a coffee mug. And she didn't. 26 is higher than AMC and GME. Well, that's what's showing too. You might want to see what's not showing. I wonder if anyone has some updates on that for you, Woodworth. But you see how ACHR looks very similar. If that daily crosses down, you see a daily divergence, the timing would be pretty good there. Can't even get from under its multi-year golden pocket, really? Algo, is it squeezing now? Ew, I don't want to look at that. Who's texting me? My buddy who I talked to, and you know, I think it was now 8 months ago, we kind of thought this election would get crazy. We thought there'd be an assassination attempt. When we had that conversation, he's a very nervous guy. And he just texted me and he's like, I finally slept like a baby last night. Yes. Now, I wouldn't expect it at the exact same time, but AMC can trigger GME, GME can trigger AMC, because the problem is so big in both stocks that it's going to soak up all their liquidity, in my opinion. 6,000 this month and reach 7,000 by the end of this year. I mean, we want to consider that possible. We want to consider that definitely possible. We just have to be aware of some things that can disrupt, which would be the 10-year being this high can disrupt. We do have a big event going on tomorrow. We are hitting weekly, almost weekly expected moves for the SPY. Yet we have a raising dollar and we have the PCC down towards calls, dramatically down towards calls. So all of that leads me to believe, Frederick, of course, we always want to believe things can go higher. We always want to believe there's a way to go up and there's a way to go down, and we just need to pay attention to these signals. Yesterday, we put out, we said, this is a bullish signal, right? It's a 30-minute divergence here that has confirmed, and we confirmed up 2-hour charts. That is all bullish. And we see bullishness come in. The funny part was, I think it was like all day this week, we've seen tons and tons of people shorting the market, which makes sense, but when you see a signal like this, you have to be paying attention. This is behaving like a bear market. So you see how this thing can rip, because we're behaving like a bear market. That's going to be a big deal. But we want to be aware it can go higher at all times. We want to be aware how it can go lower at all times, and then just take good signals. This was a good signal. Man, I wish I took like a Friday option on my fun play. God dang it, Luke, you silly goose. It's risky this week, Jewel. There's always potential to see something crazy, but this is the DIA, the ETF for the Dow, and I want you to see that purple line. So this purple line is the options data. This is taking them off guard, and we're getting outside of it. So this would tell me if this is going to present an opportunity, we might just see a pullback into Friday, and then we curl up. You know? This is the 68% chance to land in this zone. If you want to see it, 68% chance to land in here, you're experiencing something crazy. Is this a good opportunity right now? According to all of my indicators, this would be a very risky opportunity to the upside. I can even pull up a daily scale and you're going to see, where are we? Top Bollinger. Even the Bollinger is telling you. The weekly is telling you. It's not saying it can't. It's just saying, is this a risk-free or high probability trade to go up towards 450 or something like that? It would be a very risky play. Most of the time what you want to see is this dip down, go retest some of these moving averages as they come up. Okay, then you'll know, and then you'll see like a little 30-minute or a 2-hour go like that, turn up into positive territory. So that's more what you're looking for. You're looking for a good opportunity, not just to have a trade here, right? You want a good opportunity. Did I just delete something? Okay, good. Does that make sense, Jewel? The bear market, in my opinion, still has not been canceled. Okay? Just because I know we're coming up to this level, but it's even enough. More so when I was saying, hey, the bear market could be canceled, we're going to just see a correction, which we still can see a correction. We're just going to pay attention to the signals, right, Jewel? If we do this, and we see this dip down, we see a bounce, then we see it dip down again, and we see a daily divergence here, and that crosses, are we going to be saying, hey, yeah, we're gonna keep crashing down, or are we going to be saying, hey, new all-time high? We're most likely going to be saying new all-time high. Okay? It's just whatever sets up, we will go with. Right now, from this, in order to see that be just a correction, I would like us to do that. Then go correct. That's what I would like to see, because that would make more sense. Turning down from right here would look too much like a double top. We have too many bad weekly signals. We're getting rid of that, which is great. That's why we have to take into consideration what Frederick Chan is saying there. We have to take that into consideration. You are positive now on the weekly scale. We want to see if this holds, because you have a lot of reversal signals on the weekly scale across a bunch of stocks that have confirmed. We can even go through. Like Tesla hasn't turned down yet, but it has that divergence forming up here outside of a weekly move. Amazon's crossing up, creating a divergence potential, but that could go higher first. Nvidia still has that weekly, has that crossed. And if you remember our major or our macro video on Saturday, one of the points we made was we need to see Nvidia do it. Nvidia is something that really holds up the market, and Nvidia is seeing this, but you notice it can buy itself some time all the way up into earnings, right? And then maybe that's when, but then earnings is going to be a 50-50 flip. So we want to look across at AMD. AMD is telling you this is garbage. That's what the signals are telling you. It means that could turn around from right now, but right now this would be a very risky trade to take for an investment. Because of the monthly scale, we still have this confirmed. It confirmed last month. There is divergence at the high. It's actually down a little bit. You just can't tell with my drawing. You can see triple divergence here. Okay? So still, we have all of these signals. Let's not ignore that, but playing the shorter time frames, if we see things swing up, we can see upside. Right now, the Qs are turned up on a weekly scale, even though there's a massive monthly divergence here that's slightly down, just like AMD. And it got significant. If we can cross down here on the monthly, still bad things most likely to happen. I still believe a Trump presidency means a deflationary event. That is how I want to think about it right now. If things change in some way, but his policies seem like they would cause some kind of deflationary event, you're getting one fake out, go into the upside, touching a resistance level, able to hit a daily expected move for the Qs. If that 2-hour rotates down, where is it? Negative territory. This is great price action, but your momentum wants that to remain sustained. So you're going to need to hold up here for that momentum to kind of be able to really go positive. Right now, you can just see, I mean, this would just curl down right by the center line. That still would say, hey, we can test this low. We can go make a new one. We're going to get that updated implied volatility for you tonight. So make sure you tune into tonight's video so we can talk about what's going on here. And then we really have to read into tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be a very important day. I most likely will do a closing stream. So make sure you have your notifications on. Thank you so much for liking the video. Well, let's ask, who would like to see a closing stream tomorrow in the last hour of the day? Who would like to watch Jerome Powell together like we always do? Ew. God. I'm not gonna lie, I hate watching Jerome Powell, but I think tomorrow could be interesting. And Jewel, I'm glad that made sense. Gretchen says, hell yeah. Can I get a hi yeah? Sebastian says, yes. Christina, yes. Jeremiah, me. George, do it. Lynn, yes. Terry. The more streams, the better. Woodward says, yes. Sid, Q's at 500. Those whole numbers. Am I right? Spicy mayo. Oh, we'll put some. Oh, you want a spicy mayo? There it is, Visionary. Whenever I read your name, Visionary, I think of the song. The song. Kind of relates to Donald Trump. Visionary, vision is scary. I'll start a revolution. Oh yeah, I'm here. Try to tell Nyson to refresh. Someone say, Nyson, refresh your page. Every single time I read your name, I think of that song. I don't know why. There it is, Woodward. That's all we want to say. Go America. I think people need to get a better understanding of what America is. It is a democratic republic. That'd be great. Joe says, sure. Joe's like, sure. Joe Casper, are you a friendly ghost? You silly ghost, you. Okay. Having too much fun today. Trying to have fun. Why am I trying to have fun? Because TLT, my TLT trade was absolute garbage, even though it had fantastic signals. Damn it. Wasn't here for the start. I have you talked about Celsius? Is that Celsius? Yeah, I'm right. It's hard to keep these tickers straight here. Celsius, bad move to start the day. Am I right? That's not good. Now, one thing to note here, this is a good learning opportunity if you're paying attention to divergence, okay? Yeah, made in the USA might actually be like good again. Jesus. One thing to note here about divergence, guys, and we talk about this in the course. This is only, and if you want to clear this up, the course will really help you out. It's 90% off in November, guys. Get it before things are already getting crazy. This is the craziest we've seen things. But you see how those weekly moves are coming into play here, those daily moves. So learning how to trade around them is a good thing. One thing to note here for Celsius, since you asked about it, Bexon, right? Bexon asked? Yeah, Bexon. You had a 2-hour divergence here, right? You probably see that. And we can look at Coca-Cola. I'm down to look at that. I like Coca-Cola. Anyone think that Coca-Cola tastes worse out of like a 2-liter? Anyway, let me know. So one thing to note here is Celsius is a good learning opportunity for today's stream. What do we see on the MACD? We see divergence. We see that price action down. So we see the divergence. This means some kind of bounce can happen. But what else are we looking at with this divergence? We're looking at the RSI. What do you notice? This is in the upward direction. This is in the downward direction. What about the RSI? RSI is down here. Okay, so you only have it on one indicator, which has to make you take this with caution. Okay, whenever you only see it on one indicator, you take it with caution, especially if it's just on your MACD. You take it with caution, you look for weakness. If that crosses down, managing trades, right? You still don't have a divergence here at this moment, right? We have to see if that forms over time. But let's see if you got a hint to get out of this. You did. Weirdly enough, Celsius gave a little hint. Now it's earnings, guys. So earnings 50-50 flip, obviously. But we can see that this is flat, and we see that this is slightly down. So that told us there is potential weakness forming here, but it did not confirm. Did not confirm before. This is why earnings can be a risky freaking game. Risky game there, okay? Yo, I'm just going to be genuine. I'm going to tell you guys what my wife is most excited about. She is most excited about Bobby Kennedy. She is someone that legitimately thinks our food is poison right now. She cooks our food. She's a great cook. She's fantastic. I mess with her sometimes and I tell her, you know, oh, this isn't very good. You know, just to mess with her. You got to keep them on their toes. But yeah, Bexon, I hope that was helpful. That's just a little learning thing so that you can say, okay, even though this is showing, I always, if it's only on one indicator, I treat it like, hey, that could just be some kind of bounce. Now, Bex, and just to clear that up though, if you do see it on one indicator, it can still do that. It can reverse the trend, right? But you want to see that move go pretty well into positive territory, and you don't want to be around earnings. I'm just going to say that. All right, Coca-Cola. I don't know what Coke's ticker is, to be totally honest. Is it Coke? Is Coca-Cola literally Coke? Not cocaine, guys. Come on. All right. Is this the free? This isn't the ticker. I'm on the wrong thing. KO. That's it. Yep. You're right. You're right. You're right. I was like, I do not have that. One thing to note here: this does not look good for Coca-Cola. Okay, this looks really bad. We got to look at macro scale here, guys. Okay. Okay, this is where we have to look at monthlies. Sorry, there's the shorter time frames are just shooting down. You don't want to pay attention to divergence during squeezing until you see it really close to the center line. Okay, not the worst divergences in the world here. Damn, Coca-Cola though, if you turn over on the monthly, you do have it on the MACD, not on the RSI at the same time here. You do have it multiple point from this level to this level, but you do have this blip in between, so you got to take it with a grain of salt. What I would just say is that monthly turns down. Everything else has divergence, so be very careful with anything that turns down on a monthly. Cough, cough, AMD. Yes, we can see a bounce there, but it's more likely over the next 12 to 24 months we see lower prices, all right? And thank you, Sebastian, for telling me Coke's freaking ticker. I'm an idiot. Anyway, with this, what we want to see here is, can we make anything to help us out, right? I really want to take this low. I want to do this maybe. I don't necessarily want to include that. I want to see what's... I need to make these thinner so I can freaking see. I'm not the best at drawing these freaking lines, but I'm trying. All right, so we see that. Maybe you could get a clone, see if you're just in a channel or something. You're pretty close to in a channel here. I would just do something like that. If you're going to see dramatic downside, well, then you're not going to see divergence right here. So, and for the time being, we can look at a daily scale and we can see that where would we get a bounce from? Well, you see I already had marked off 61.45, so that's the level I like. You see in that area right away. I haven't looked at Coca-Cola in a long time, but I can look at my, this is why I leave lines on other charts. And resistance, support, okay. We really piled up in this area, right? But mainly just that little support level there is why I marked it off. So we can see that this can be a level of support. What could that be? That could be a massive cup going into a handle, then watch out for earnings. But earnings can be a 50-50 flip. So we want to just trade the price action before and after. Monthly flip for Tesla, do you think it goes up from here, or do we see a pullback before a big move up? I think you might have the opportunity for a pullback. Hopefully that was a little bit helpful with Coca-Cola, just kind of a crazy thing. I would be worried about two things here. The daily scale, I would be very worried if this is some kind of trap because of how things look on the macro scale. I still think if a crash happens, Tesla might not be safe, all right? If this daily crosses down, what do you have? You have triple divergence on your MACD, you have triple divergence on your RSI. If that continues to go up, we don't see that curl down, good things. But what are we seeing? Do we have potential weakness in here? Well, if I pull up a 2 hour, what are you gonna see? You're seeing a first curl up. We're seeing what we wanted to pay attention to in last night's video. Please watch the YouTube videos all the way through, guys, because some stocks can give you a hint. We talked about Tesla, and Tesla was the one that I literally said during the video. I said Tesla could be our hint. Now, what is the hint I'm talking about? If that daily is going to rotate down, what has to happen here? Well, if you're lucky, you'll get a divergence. If you're lucky, that divergence will take you outside of a weekly expected move. And if that turns down, that's going to be key. That has to turn back down for that to confirm. That will be a pretty major divergence there. So just be cautious because you have a 68% chance to land below this by the end of the week. That doesn't have to happen. Okay, that doesn't have to happen. You have no 30-minute signal in here to help you out. But that does not have to happen. I mean, if you wanted, you could maybe... I'm clicking on the wrong thing. You could go extended hours to make it look more clear for yourself, right? We could look at this, see if there's 30-minute anything. There's not. There's not. So you still have that opportunity to do something like this first, right? This is where extended hours can probably help you. I like regular. So the fact that it's curling up on the monthly does suggest it's a good investment, but will it be safe from a crash if something bad were to happen? Or a bear market? Well, we just want to pay attention to the signals, okay? If this is going to remain good, then this 2 hour is probably not going to be able to rotate all the way down. Instead, you're probably going to reach down for that weekly expected move, bounce off that breakout area. Pretty obvious breakout area, right? Pretty obvious. So, and that happens to be where the weekly expected move is around. It's in that area. If you want the exact levels, guys, you got to join the Patreon down in the description. But if that 2 hour was too much and that rotates down, you could sit up here for the rest of the day. Tomorrow you turn down. You could sit up here for tomorrow a little bit. Tomorrow you turn down, and guess what? That would form that divergence. It would be very dramatic. So don't think Tesla has to go up because a monthly is crossed. You still want to pay attention to the fact that you have daily divergence. What ruins monthly cross-ups? Daily divergence, weekly divergence. All right, cool. IYC, man. Yeah, let's go check over on NVIDIA for just a moment here. NVIDIA, the key thing for NVIDIA right now is we're hitting a weekly expected move. We still are holding divergence. So these are great moves. This is very, very bullish. We saw the bullish signals. We saw the basing out signals from the SPY. Thank you, BK. I hope you really do like it. I try to be clear. If I'm ever not clear, just make sure you tell me, guys, okay? If there is something that I talk about and it's in the realm of technical analysis, because that's really where my skill is. If it's something else, we can talk about it, but just know that's more of a conversation. But if something confuses you, please let us know. If anything, someone in the chat might be able to answer your question because they've already taken the course. So what we want to see here is this some kind of triple top? That's what I want to figure out, because where are we hitting right now today? You know where we went directly towards? Weekly expected move. And I know, you know, people do pay for this over on Patreon, so I hate showing it because people do give their hard-earned money for that info. But I think it's important you see that I'm not fibbing you. Like, I'm not kidding. This is a calculated number by the options market. Okay, now don't pay attention to the yellow lines. We're updating those tomorrow for me. But NVIDIA, I just have a ton of stuff going on, all right? Don't pay attention to the yellow. This was last month's. Remember last month? This is why we called NVIDIA dropping. See this? See this yellow line? That's the monthly expected move from last month. We saw a 2 hour divergence. Guess what? That's how we called that going down on October 31st. We weren't saying, hey, it has to. We were saying there's reversal signals. October 31st is the last day of the month. So boom, that can happen. That's what happened. Now what are you seeing here? Well, if we pull up a 2 hour, it's very elongated, but you can see how we're reacting directly towards the weekly expected move here, and we're sitting there the entire morning. This is how useful these things can be as far as profit taking goes, as far as knowing the riskiness of something. Because if you're hitting this, you have a 68% chance to land here by Friday. So would I take YOLO calls for Friday that this is going to go to $160? This is saying the risk is that that can actually reject off of that, maybe fill the gap by Friday close. Okay, I just wanted to show you guys that. And yes, I do use different colors. And yes, I do use this, but not very much. That's just for fun. I like my colors. So Incredible Jack, this is what I'm saying too about NVIDIA maybe hitting higher prices from here. I'm not saying it can't. I'm not saying Mr. Pickle 240 can't. I'm not. I'm saying we would need to consolidate here first. That's all I'm saying. Oh, do you have it on yours as military hours, Woodworth? Because this should just be, you can see down here, you have 12:30, 12:30. Here we have 10:02. So that's just regular time for me. Actually, maybe I do have the military hours on because I think it says I might have military time on. I can't remember. I usually have to look at like futures to see that. All right, guys. I know. Oh, yeah. Top synopsis. You still here? I'll look at that, and then I have to take off. But we will be going live tomorrow in the morning and in the afternoon. So what we want to pay attention to for this was see how this is where divergences, especially when you're getting that squeezing type of behavior where your MACD is pretty much just pointing up and the price actually pointing down. Very risky to try to take calls on something that had a bad earnings, first of all. I try to stay away from stocks that look like this. Thank you. I'm joining Patreon. Of course, Top Synopsis. Thank you so much for joining us today, though. Really appreciate you being on the live channel. So one thing to note here is once that 30-minute cross, you gotta say negativity. You gotta say that this is bad. And what you want to look at is how bad is this? And when you really look at it, how bad is this, guys? This looks like a weekly double top. And if you break through this level, that's going to be confirming as pretty much a double top there. And you see that because you see this little thing here. You see how significant that is on your MACD. And this is what we see in markets right now. So just be aware of these things happening. Now, one thing to notice for LLY, if we are going to make structure to head down, there's a tiny little zone in here. Okay, where does that really start? I'm going to take this wick. I'm going to take this little zone here. Okay. So this zone here is going to be important because in this zone, we could have some support, right? We had support last time in this liquidity here. So if we're going to maybe come all the way down, maybe this is going to make that cup and handle right here. We're going to do something like this. This would make the most sense. We bounce off. Maybe we get a big bounce. We go back up to 892.51. That's how seriously you want to take some of these bounces and then see if that turns down again. But that would be the structure to head lower. You got to break out of this zone. Got to break below it. Do we have the opportunity to bounce on a daily scale? You have more likelihood to just get a 2-hour bounce here. More likely to just see a 2-hour bounce. And you see, this was the bullish thing, right? We can do this, we pile up, and then we head to the upside. We failed multiple times. We tried to do another one right here. Failed. So if we're going to head down, then I would expect us to catch some ground here, see some kind of bounce. That could just be consolidative and then turn down, so it doesn't mean this is like a great trade by any means. Oh yeah, I think I do have military time, to be honest, but yeah, so what I want to pay attention to here is if this thing's going to keep falling down. And something that I can look at is just look at a weekly scale and say, okay, I confirm major divergence. If we're going to remain bullish over time, well, then I'm going to need that weekly to turn up. I don't know if this has enough monthly bars, but you can see where are you at as far as an investment goes, and how far could you fall from this as far as an investment goes? Fall pretty freaking far. Right, be generous, right? Be generous and just take a fib from the last time we retested the 20. Maybe golden pocket towards 550. Kind of crazy, right? Kind of crazy. I will check on oil because that thing was turning down. Very interesting. We're seeing if that monthly can turn up. Ooh, oil. Oh, why would you be turning up like that? But the daily scale is something we were watching here, seeing if the daily can curl up and now go positive. That is something to pay attention to. What we were looking at, I believe, was the 4-hour chart. We noticed that the 4-hour chart, you see this downward price action. You see a slight divergence here with a little tiny divergence in there. But what you want to pay attention to is the fact that this is on the RSI as well. So you can get a bounce from that. Now you want to see, where are we? We're here. Are we going to really carve out the structure to head higher? Is this fully, done? Or does the 4-hour, you think, need to pull back one more time to really grab some more liquidity? That's what I would overall think here. But the daily scale is turning up. watch out if the monthly scale turns up. All right, guys, I really do have to take off. I really appreciate all you guys being here this morning. I think it was fantastic. We saw some crazy moves. I think we had positive vibes, and that's a very, very good thing. So thank you guys for being here. If you want to get anything, the course, or, really learn about what we're doing here, check out those courses down in the description, okay? Because they will really help you out, and they're only on sale for like another, 25 days. Guys, you have 25 days to get that on sale, 90% off. So that's when the price will go up. Maybe we'll do a Christmas sale for you guys, just a flash sale or something like that. But really appreciate you guys. I'm glad that everyone's coming in here, positive vibes, asking questions, very active. That's what I like to see. Everyone very excited to do what we're doing. Be excited to manage trades, guys. This week has some serious implied volatility. You have to be aware of that, and I will get you those levels tonight on YouTube. So thank you guys for being here. I hope you guys have all the luck in the world with your trades for the rest of the day, and I am out of here. Peace.